Well, KBJ, Ketanji Brown Jackson, is what your country looks like on critical race theory. KBJ is your country on CRT. KBJ, Ketanji Brown Jackson, is an embodiment of the tyranny that we currently live under. She's an ideological, unintelligent, yet confident fanatic who is so dismissive that you might even ask the question of what a woman is. So she wants to be the first ever black woman on the Supreme Court, yet she won't even admit that she's a woman.
Okay, he looks up as if he's confused about the point that he just made, perhaps because it doesn't make any sense. And it's not even reflective of the larger right-wing attack about the definition of womanhood that is being used as a way to continue talking about the nomination process for SCOTUS without ever actually getting into any substance. They're trying to say she won't define womanhood. He has such a shallow level of understanding of politics, even the politics of his side, that he's turned that into she won't admit that she's a woman, which isn't even the claim that the right is making. Along the way, of course, he says that she's unintelligent, which again, isn't even a claim that the right is making, but he saw a picture of her once and he had to assume that I can't live in a world where a woman like that would be more intelligent than me. As I bumble my way through another monologue. By the way, did you notice he's attacking her competence and everything? The camera was focused on the backdrop. His face is blurry, which stylistically I prefer, honestly. But dude, focus your camera. You've got a really easy job that's been handed to you by millionaires and billionaires. The least you could do is pretend like you care about it. But anyway, Adrienne, Ketanji Brown Jackson, the proposed justice, is what you get when CRT runs America, and she's unintelligent and all of that. There'll be more, but what do you think?
Yeah, okay, so first of all, with the camera thing, it's very interesting because given the size of his head, you think that the camera operator has a lot to work with. So it's kind of weird to miss the target, but I'll leave that there. As far
honestly, I don't think it was a mistake. I think that the camera operator was doing him a bit of a favor, and I appreciate that. We rely on people with technical knowledge. I think it was a stylistic choice by the director of photography. Anyway,
and I kind of think it might have subtly said you're missing the point here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll be out of focus too. But as far as I'm concerned, again, this is such the narrative that will be pushed. The thought that, oh, she's only getting her position because of affirmative action. She never earned her way to the top. Oh, she is unqualified. Oh, that this is just because of her melanin count, and we should question and doubt everything about her. You know, it gets tiring. It is old, this rhetoric, and also it just really belies the point that there's so many members of white America who are afraid of actual true competition, shall we say, in terms of realizing that you are not above anyone. You are not smarter or better at anything or more intelligent or intellectual or more capable in any ways. Whether it's the Black community, the Latin community, the Asian community or whatnot. The fact is that there are people of all walks of life, regardless of color, who bring a good game. And among them, it's KBJ. So when people just recognize that, guess what? Black women can do things and they are intelligent and many of us are extraordinarily capable, then this world can move forward and actually address the issues we need to address, as opposed to playing these silly games and putting all this energy into maintaining white supremacy.
Exactly, yeah, it's such clear projection about a fear of not being able to make it if there was an actual level playing field, or if there was anything even approaching a level playing field, being unable to make it. And look, I get fear like that. I get white male weakness, but the way that it manifests for me is being afraid of literally everyone, including other white people. That's fair and equitable. You don't target particular groups. Anyway, by the way, another stylistic choice was him going with KBJ. I kind of don't like when people put an acronym on someone that I've never heard use it for themselves. I've never heard her do that, and when they cross her name out and put CRT, it's so utterly dehumanizing, it makes me sick. But as you saw in that video, he also doesn't know how to pronounce her name, so maybe going with the acronym is a better alternative. In any event, he says there, we have another video we're gonna get to, and it's amazing stuff, and again, reveals so much about his worldview, but Adrienne, I have a question for you. So he says, and they've all said basically in a variety of ways, she didn't earn this position. She's just being handed it because she's Black. What would you have to do? to earn this? Like, I honestly don't know, and I assume we can come at it from different directions. We can desire people with experience in different parts of the legal system. There are very different positions that you can hold. But she has done all of the things that they've said for decades you're supposed to do. So Adrienne, what could you do to deserve the position?
Oh, you can just drop your melanin count. Like, it seems to be pretty easy. Hey, I try every winter when I don't go outside. If Jackson tried a little harder, the fact is that it'll never be good enough. If anybody wants to really just kind of make it in this world, especially if they're Black, they are going to continually be undermined. Particularly if they're a Black woman, going to continually be undermined. This thought that you don't deserve what you have. It's just maintaining this sense of white supremacy, undermining any of our accomplishments, saying, oh, you only got there because of affirmative action. People were checking a box. We need to see your LSAT scores. Oh, I need to ask you about CRT, things that weren't asked of any other candidate for the nomination. Nobody asked Amy Coney Barrett about her beliefs when it comes to CRT, even though she has Black children that she adopted. It just continually shows us that this is the way the system really undermines us to remind us of our place and to stay in our place.
Those are devastating points. Of course, no. And like the fact that we've had to go through all of these different stupid made up controversies about pedophilia, and there was a brief thing on Guantanamo or whatever. Like, they don't care about literally any of this. And partially it's an understanding, I think, that she's almost certainly going to make it on the court, knock on wood and all that. But it's just they're revealing so much. Like, they had an opportunity during this historic nomination. Like, obviously they're not going to be enthusiastic about it. I get it. They despise Black people and they have no interest in them holding positions of authority and power and respect and all that. But they could have gotten through it without making themselves look so blatantly racist. And they have been competing with each other to do it. And it's really, I think it's the intersection of two desires. One is for the movement to ever present sort of like a welcoming posture towards someone who doesn't look exactly like Brett Kavanaugh. And the other is for the media side to attract an audience. And they know their audience. Their audience sees Ketanji Brown Jackson being put up for this position, and they think, you have got to reassure me that I am better than this woman. And so they have been tripping over each other to be the most explicit in reassuring them of that thing. So it's just disgusting along the way. That said, there was a little bit more where he reveals a bit about his fears about the future in this clip.
What do you get when you start to platform and implement critical race theory into every single corner of American society, in your corporations, in your schools? Your children and your grandchildren are going to have to take orders from people like her. And what's amazing is that she kind of has an attitude too. You look carefully at some of those videos, she kind of just, she's like, what? Why are you asking me such a question, Senator? She feels entitled to this position. Why wouldn't she? It's not like she got this position based on her qualifications.
Again, I would love to see him even attempt to explain how her qualifications are insufficient and how he has supported multiple nominees for the court in recent years that have nowhere near the qualifications that she does. But the most amazing takeaway line from that, I think, Adrienne, was your kids and your grandkids are gonna have to take orders from people like this. And that is the right wing political strategy in one sentence, I think. What did you think about that?
Oh no, it was spot on. It was the thought that now the help is going to be ordering you around and telling you what to do. That's always been one of the biggest fears when it comes to white America. The thought that if people of color were to have any kind of power and were to advance in any way, that the shoe would be on the other foot, and now possibly they treat you as you treated them. And so that's what he is trying to push here in very subtle regard, but it's the loudest dog whistle I ever heard.
I mean, it's like everybody has weaknesses, I get it, but like it's such a weird media thing to create where they have to express all of their fears so blatantly to reassure their base that has an even worse version of it. Like of course, Charlie Kirk himself is not worried about his kids being ordered around by anyone. He was handed a career by wealthy people. He could fail for the rest of his life. He's gonna end up a multi-millionaire. But he knows that there are other people that are worried about it. racists who look to the future and they see their unearned positions of dominance being finally challenged. And he is gonna make money off of weaponizing that fear, as so many of them do.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.